guys, this is Shelby with the Rogers Public Library. So this week for Full Steam Ahead, I wanted to talk to you guys about microwave ovens, right? Just like this guy right here, you probably have one of these in your kitchen. Most people do. So microwave oven is just a device for heating up food, kind of like a conventional oven or toaster oven or a stove, right? So microwaves are a type of electromagnetic radiation, right? So similar to things like light or X-rays or radio waves, right? Like that you hear listen to music on, right? Microwaves are kind of between what's called infrared light, so light that produces warmth, and radio waves, which are that we use for communications, right? Like a radio or like TV. So microwaves weren't developed to heat things up. They were developed because you can use microwaves to figure out where things are, right? So you ever heard of radar before, right? It's like a device that it shoots out a little microwaves and bounces them off stuff. And depending on how long it takes for the waves to bounce back, that tells you where it is, and it also can tell you how those objects are moving, right? So this is something that the military used and the military developed in the 1940s. But while they were developing it, they found out that microwaves don't just tell you where stuff are, they can also heat stuff up, right? And the reason for that is pretty simple, right? So because they're electromagnetic, microwaves produce a magnetic field, right? So if you played with magnets before, you know what a magnetic field is, right? Right, it's basically just attracts magnetic objects you can use to move around. So the reason that microwaves specifically heat up food is because food, generally speaking, has water in it, right? And water is very, very slightly magnetic, right? Or it has what's called a magnetic moment, right? So it's not enough that you can, pick up water with a magnet and move it around, but it is enough that water will respond to magnetic fields, especially strong magnetic fields like are produced in a microwave, right? So as the microwaves are produced, water starts moving around, right? And it starts moving so fast that it gets hot and it heats up, and that's what produces the cooking effect. That's also why microwaves are better at heating up some stuff than others. So microwaves aren't really good at heating up like fats or waxes, things that are very that are non-polar, that don't have a magnetic moment the same way things like water does. And so you can't really heat them up as easily. Yeah. So, right, and we'll just look inside of this, right? So you see this, right? This is just the control panel, right? It lets you choose how long you want the microwave to go for. Then we open it up, right? And you'll see the turntable, right? So the reason that microwaves have a turntable is just because, right, so now you're not just moving the magnetic field, you're also moving the food that's inside of the magnetic field, and so it helps heat things up more evenly, right? The other thing you can notice about the inside of the microwave is that it's made out of metal. So you've probably heard before that you can't put metal in microwaves. So as a general rule, you shouldn't put metal in microwaves, right? Because it can produce sparks, and it can, catch the microwave on fire. It's not a great idea. But that has less to do with like the actual material than the shape of the material, right? So if you have like really jaggedy metal, like aluminum foil or forks, it produces sparks a lot more easily than just, like the metal siding in here. You also can't put grapes in the microwave because those catch on fire as well. Yeah, and then of course there's the door, which is just, to keep you from getting microwaved, right? It's a safety feature. Our craft for this week is a food activity, right? So you've probably made popcorn before. You might have made it in the form of little kernels like this, or you might have made it in the form of a little bag, right? The little bag is a bit easier to use, but they both work. So I'm just going to take a handful of these kernels and put them in the bowl. And then I'm going to put the lid on top. And I'm going to put the bowl in here. Okay. So, it's fun. I think that was just the turntable getting back in place. So it takes about 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes or so. So the way that this works is that there's a teeny tiny bit of moisture inside a popcorn kernel, right? Because it's, it's a vegetable, right? And they dried out, but not perfectly. So what happens is the microwaves heat up the small amount of water that's in here, and it turns into steam, right? And so when water turns into steam, it expands a lot. And when it expands a lot, right, it produces like an outward force, and the kernel pops, right? That's the noise that you hear with your ears when the kernels pop. And it should just be another minute now. Yeah, there we go. Check on it. Okay, so here's your popcorn. Well, I think I got a little. So there's still quite a bit that didn't pop, but you have some, right? Still popcorn, just like you get out of a bag. The main difference between this popcorn and popcorn in a bag is that popcorn in a bag is usually flavored to be salt and or butter flavoring or stuff like that, or maybe sugar if you have kettle corn. But you can flavor this, any way you want. Right? It's your popcorn. It's a basically, it's a science experiment and a recipe, right? So you get to experiment with how popcorn is made using a microwave, and you also get to experiment on how you can make it taste really good. Yeah. So that's what I have for you guys this week. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time.